Henry George, Progress and Poverty, an inquiry in the cause of industrial depressions and of increase of want with increase of wealth. The remedy. Progress and Poverty delves into the paradox of increased poverty alongside technological advancements and wealth growth. It uncovers the hidden factors contributing to this phenomenon, discussing the role of land rent, land ownership, and the distribution of wealth in perpetuating poverty. The book sheds light on the historical and economic forces that influence income inequality, and the consequences of adopting misguided policies. With an engaging and accessible approach, the summary unravels the complexities around the nexus of wealth and poverty, providing readers with an insightful understanding of the underlying mechanisms.
The paradox of technological advancements. Despite technological advancements increasing prosperity, poverty continues to persist and grow. The wealthiest economies often have the greatest deprivation. The reason for this paradox lies in the flawed understanding of political economy. The definition of wealth is rooted in exchange value, assets that satisfy human wants. With labor, these assets produce wealth, with the value determined by the amount of labor put in. Capital, a subset of assets, aid in creating more wealth. Wealth is distributed to landowners, laborers, and investors in the form of rents, wages, and interest. As wealth grows, so does rent, and the proportion allocated to wages and interest decreases, thus perpetuating the cycle of poverty. The American homesteading dream. In the 19th century, the American West saw a massive influx of settlers seeking cheap land and the chance for prosperity. Compared to the eastern U.S. and Europe, wages for pioneer workers were much higher, making moving west a route to success for many. While the wilderness and sparsely populated areas were seen as opportunities for homesteaders to reap the benefits of their labor, the cities held people in abject, helpless, and hopeless conditions, where even a small patch of land was worth a fortune. The pressures of settlement. Settlers face economic pressure when land productivity increases. As more people occupy the farmland, cooperation is necessary for improved welfare. Specialization leads to the establishment of towns and the advancement of agricultural practices. However, as land ownership concentrates into fewer hands, landlords raise rents, leading to poverty for laborers. In the end, landlords capture most gains from community progress, inducing abject poverty. This is evident in the higher squalor levels in New York City than in San Francisco in 1879. The extractive wealth and rising rents explain how material progress can lead to poverty. Capitalists and rent-seeking behavior. The belief in the natural antagonism between labor and capital is prevalent in society, but few differentiate between tangible investments and passive income. The economic progress of Western American states was aided by railway investment, which involved capitalists risking their money to drive progress. Rent, which is a creation of the whole community, belongs to the whole community, not just landlords. However, some railroad barons demanded bribes and colluded to extract easy monopoly rents, feeding off progress built by the wider community. Capitalists who provide tangible assets used in wealth creation are just as much at the mercy of the landlord as the laborer is. The corruption of democracy and the role of landownership. The concentration of wealth and power in the hands of a few landowners can undermine democracy. This is especially true when the poor lack economic power and follow simplistic leaders. Ancient societies and the early U.S. Republic suffered from similar problems caused by monopoly landownership and excessive rents. The young republic failed to ensure economic equality by blindly adopting the same attitudes to landownership as the class-ridden regimes of the Old World. Speculative bubbles in land values can pave the way to economic depressions. Consequently, wages and interest tend constantly to fall, rent to rise, and the rich to become richer at the expense of the poor. Evolution of land ownership. Feudal system versus private land property, and the gold rush's contrasting treatment of land ownership. Land ownership systems have evolved over time, and various societies have adopted different approaches to private property. The ancient Roman civilization developed political economies based on landed estates, which were later succeeded by medieval European systems of fiefdoms, feudal lords, and peasants. These systems were underpinned by the concept of commonwealth, which granted the right of peasants to till the soil and feudal lords to own the land. The lords had obligations to provide justice and defense for their tenants as well as assigning land for productive use. The church also played a role in providing for education and healthcare from their lands. The rise and development of feudal society marked a triumph for the idea of the common right to land, which changed absolute tenure into conditional tenure. This system imposed particular obligations in return for the privilege of receiving rent and ensured that society's needs were met through direct payment by landlords. In contrast, at the peak of the mid-19th century California gold rush, there was a contrasting treatment of landownership. The government retained the title of land containing gold. Instead of allowing individuals to purchase large tracts of land, prospectors were allowed to stake a possessory claim of a specific size, on the understanding that they would work on the land. Prospectors could keep all the mined gold, and agreed-upon rules in each district determined the size of parcels and what constituted working on a claim. The state would confiscate abandoned claims, ensuring that natural resources cannot be locked up. As the gold mines were depleted, customary private property replaced the prospecting tenure acquisitions. This evolution in landownership systems can be seen in the evolution from the feudal system to private property. The land tax proposal. The book suggests that rather than nationalizing all land, taxing it is a better solution. The tax on land would replace all other taxes and only pertain to the value of the land. This would lessen the incentive for land speculation, bring down prices and ensure landlords pay more taxes while small farmers pay the same amount. The book further explains that the profit from monopoly is itself a tax levied on production, which can be diverted into the public coffers. Therefore, a tax on monopolies, particularly on land, can help generate revenue for the government without interfering with production. The proposal eliminates the need for large government agencies and the disruptions that come with nationalizing all real property. Understanding land tax. Land value tax is a just form of tax that falls only on those who benefit from society and its infrastructure. This is because the value of a property derives primarily from the community and its development, and not just the landlord's efforts. Location plays a critical role in rental value, and properties closer to established settlements pay higher rents. This reality is illustrated by the farming communities settling in the West. In towns and cities, a community's interaction generates benefits, making the site more valuable. Taking this into account, the community has the right to tax rents since private property rights are enjoyed under government protection and law and order. Land taxation, therefore, is a just and equitable tax. Taxing monopoly income. The benefits of a land tax and its impact on the economy. In the book, the author discusses the concept of high rents resulting from a premium location in the community, which is considered a monopoly charge. The author proposes that a tax on this passive income will not affect the economy's productivity and landlords would still charge the maximum rent based on the local demands. The tax would reduce the landlord's monopoly income and, in theory, keep tenant rents the same. The author argues that unlike taxes on consumption, labor, and profits, a tax on workers and capitalists who take risks punishes those who contribute the most to society, while those who live off monopoly rents contribute little. The collection, administration, and enforcement of such a tax would also deter corruption and evasion that often occur with other taxes. The author highlights that land cannot be hidden or moved, and disputes are easily resolved. Furthermore, the author supports the view that the benefits of a land tax are evident in its ability to reduce inequality, and it can be illustrated by the settling of the American West. The author uses vivid examples to demonstrate where the burden of taxation should fall and how taxing monopoly income can have a positive impact on the economy, contrary to popular beliefs that taxes on labor and profits are the most effective means of raising money.
In conclusion, the book Progress and Poverty uncovers the striking connection between growing wealth, technological progress, and escalating poverty. It highlights the role of land rent, private land ownership, and the distribution of wealth among landowners, laborers, and investors as crucial factors fueling income inequality. By examining historical examples and economic frameworks, the book offers profound insights into the complex dynamics surrounding wealth and poverty. Encapsulating the key takeaways, readers are empowered with a holistic understanding of the challenges posed by wealth disparities and presented with thought-provoking solutions, such as taxing land, to address pressing socioeconomic issues.